Okay, Hannah says we're good. Let's get started. Welcome, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving week, and hope you all have a great holiday weekend. We're getting ready to play a really good Duke football team. I'll just first talk about the Pitt game. And I think the Pitt game took a similar theme of a lot of the games that we've played against the upper half of the ACC this year. You know, if you break down our season, after 11 games, you know, I think in a lot of cases we've, you know, we won some games. The two teams that I think played a lot better than us during the game were Notre Dame and Clemson, and they're number 2 and 3 in the country. And then, to me, there's 4 games this year that we've really missed opportunities on, and that was BC, Florida State, Syracuse, and Pitt. You know, BC, halfway through the third quarter, we were leading the game, and it got away from us. Florida State, we jumped out to a 10-0 lead. Syracuse, we jumped out to a 10-0 lead. And then Syracuse with or Pitt with 7 minutes left in the third quarter, we're winning the football game. It's 3rd and 11 and 12. They throw a 4-yard ball that we miss 2 tackles, becomes 4th and 1, they convert, and then we have a missed assignment on a coverage that leads them to the 2-yard line, and then we blow an assignment on the touchdown. And our inability to play 4 quarters and finish games against good football teams, with the one exception being NC State, is probably the one game that I felt that we just played good focused football for 4 quarters. And so, you know, the Pitt game, it looks like whatever, a blowout, but halfway through the third quarter, we have the lead and a chance to win it. And, you know, individual breakdowns that we had on 4 or 5 plays really cost us the football game. And, I mean, we had Greg Dortch open deep, and we missed him. We had Scotty Washington open for a touchdown. We missed him. We lost leverage on 3 post routes that all resulted or led to touchdowns. And you go back and watch the Pitt game, and they played well, and at the end of the game we couldn't get off the field. But if we just play more disciplined football for 4 quarters and don't give up those 4 or 5 plays, we're going to have a chance to win that thing at the end. And so now here we go, turning the page, and it's going to be the same challenge against Duke. This is a good football team. They're 7 and 4. They have a lot of quality wins. If we don't play 4 quarters, we're not going to win. We are -7 this year in turnover margin. Last year, I think we were +7 or 8 or 9 or something like that, close to double digits. In those 4 games, Pitt, BC, Syracuse, and Florida State, those 4 games were -7. The rest of the game, we're break even. Those 4 games against 7 and 4, 7 and 4, 8 and 3, and 5 and 6, and we're 0 and 4 in those games. We've lost a turnover margin 9-2. So again, this week it's game 12. We can't turn the football over. We've got to tackle better. We've got to play locked-in football for 4 quarters, and it's a very good, always well-coached Duke football team. It begins with their quarterback, Daniel Jones. You know, I'd put him up there, if not the best, certainly one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks that we've seen all year. He is extremely accurate, very smart. He can make plays with his feet. He can run the ball for 100. He can throw it for 300. He's very smart. He gets rid of the football quickly. It gets out of his hands. He is an extremely dangerous player. You know, their offense really centers around him and their ability to get the football quickly to Ramming and to Helm. They line up in a lot of different formations, and his ability to get those guys the ball quickly, and then what they do with it after the catch. And then if you try to cheat, now their run game can get going. And Deion Jackson is having a really good year for them. They've got depth. Their other receivers, you know, Taylor and Lloyd are very good players as well. And their offensive line is very well coached. They know what they're doing. Defensively, they do a lot of things and they disguise it well. Even with all the injuries they've had, this is still an excellent defense. They're very good in the secondary. They challenge you, they press you, they mix up their coverages, whether it's quarters or press cover 1 or 3 bail, and they have a very kind of unique way they play cover 2. Their defensive line is physical. Their defensive end, 51, Victor, and I don't want to mispronounce his last name, is one of the best pass rushers in the ACC. Their 2 linebackers, if they play, Humphreys and Giles Harris, have been just, they've been there forever. I mean, I feel like since day one I've been coaching against those guys, and they get better every year. So again, this is a very good football team that's going to a bowl, and they played Clemson as well as anybody, with maybe the exception of Syracuse in our conference last week. I mean, they were in that football game. So we got our work cut out for us. We're going to have to play probably our best game of the year to win this game. But our guys are excited. They know what's at stake, and it's like a playoff. It's win or go home. So we're had a good practice today, and look forward to the week of prep and the game ahead.
This week, one of the ones that, I know every week is a one-week season. You say that every week. This one, it really is. Does that help this team's focus level?
Yeah, I think there's certainly a lot of players on our team that they don't want this to end. Whether it's Phil Haynes or Ryan Anderson or Chuck Wade or Cameron Glenn, that our goal is to get to a bowl. And it's week 12, and that goal is still alive and well. But it either becomes reality or it dies a death in Durham on Saturday. So there's a sense of urgency. We know what's at stake. Once you get 6 in the left-hand column or 7 in the right-hand column, you know what you're doing. And so it's either going to get a 6 in the left or 7 in the right. And it's unusual for us that every other year this game we've already known that either we're done or we are going bowling. And I told our players that it's very similar to the NFL playoffs or the college football playoffs, that it's if you win you get another one, and if you lose the season's over, and we want to keep the season going. But as much as that's a motivator, the focus has to be on getting ready for a really good Duke football team. These guys are extremely well coached. They're very smart. They don't beat themselves. They make you play for 4 quarters and execute. And this is a team that if you have a lapse, they're going to take advantage of it.
You went through a number of things that Daniel Jones does well. Is there 1 or 2 things that distinguishes him from the other highly touted quarterbacks you face this year?
I think what makes him very unique is you look at a guy that's 6'5", 220, and you watch the North Carolina game, and he can take off and run and score an 80-yard touchdowns. I think a lot of times, people in the media like to categorize guys as dual threat or pro style. He throws it like a pro style and runs it like a dual threat. He's outstanding. He gets better every year. And his ability to put footballs in tight windows. There's times that guys are covered, and you watch the film and say, boy, that's good defense. And he still sticks the ball in there, and just you watch it in the chemistry that he has with Ramming and the tight end Helm. They're so the amount of reps over the last 3 and 4 years that those guys have had together. The ball is thrown before Ramming's out of a break, and snap, it's there. And at times there's really good defense being played, and it still becomes a 16-yard play. And then he can make throws off his back feet. You scramble, and he's really smart. He knows it's man coverage, and there's a pass rush, and bang, he just takes off and runs. You can play good defense, and they can still have good plays because of his ability.
You mentioned the last couple of years you guys have known where you stand for this 12th game. In the last 2 years, the hungry team has come in and beaten you. Is that something that you maybe want your guys looking at, like, look, we saw what hungry teams look like, now we have to be there?
We don't talk about that because it's got to be our hunger level. What's our hunger level? How much do we want to keep this thing going, and understand how hard and how difficult it's going to be because of the quality of the opponent we're playing. You know, we've played some good teams this year. I mean, if you look at, you know, you look at our 6 losses, 5 of them are against teams that have been nationally ranked, and 4 of them at some point have been in the top 15. I mean, and we've competed against those teams, but we haven't finished. And with the exception of being NC State. So this is another, I mean, you know, these guys probably should have beat Pitt. This is a 7-4 ACC team with good wins. I mean, the Northwestern win is a great win. The Army win is a great win. That's a 9-2 football team. Northwestern is now nationally ranked. Baylor is a much improved football team. Virginia is a good football team. So they have some real quality wins, and they have earned their record.
How much more of a challenge is it to play a 4-quarter game against a team that makes you play a 4-quarter game when you've been as banged up as you've been and still?
Yeah, I mean, but at this point, I mean, we've been banged up for how many weeks? It's our reality, and Duke's banged up too. I mean, there's certainly a lot of players I'm sure that they'd like to be playing with this week that they're going to be without. So, you know, week 12, that's part of college football. Our challenge for us is we've been banged up since week 4. You know, we've been playing like this all year, and but some of these guys aren't young anymore. I mean, Nasir Greer has now played a lot of football. He can't play like a freshman anymore. Michael Allen is starting to play more football. So as these guys have played more, we can't have the excuse that, you know, hey, they haven't played before, they're not ready. Because of our injury situation, these guys have now played a lot of snaps.
What lessons did Jamie get out of the performance last week against Pittsburgh? What can he take away from that game and apply this week? Yeah,
I mean, you have to go into every game locked in, knowing the game plan with the same kind of mentality. You know, as a quarterback, you can't get too high or too low, and it's really hard to play that position week in and week out. It's really hard. The challenge of that position is every single week having the same habits and the same preparation and the same practice, and those things carry over to the game. And you know, you can't be a one-hit wonder. He played really well against NC State. He did not play as well last week. He missed some throws that he's very capable of making. And when you play games against 7-4 Coastal Division champs or 7-4 Duke, you're only going to get so many chances to make a big play. And if you miss those opportunities, it's going to be hard to win the game. And this is where I give credit to Pitt. We had opportunities to make big plays, and we didn't make them. Pitt had opportunities to make big plays, and kid made the one-handed grab on the 2-yard line. He threw an absolute knife on the post route on Asang and the other post route on Chuck. Now, we can't give up the leverage, but we did, and they protected and threw an absolute dart, and it was a perfect throw, and they executed their opportunities for big plays. We did not.
Before the year in Charlotte, you said that the new redshirt rule helps a place like Wake Forest, especially because it helps you develop more of the younger talent and maintain depth. If you go to a bowl game, how important are those extra practices for your program moving forward?
They're really important. Our challenge right now is just even, this would be a good problem. We're still not getting a lot of the injured guys back. So right now it's a thin roster. So it would be different than other years. And the other years that we've gotten into the bowl, you know, the bowl season healthy, and we've been able to take practice and just devote it to the younger players. Now those younger players are in our 2 deep. So Peyton Woolard is in the 2 deep. Nasir Greer is in the 2 deep. Zion Keith is in the 2 deep. So a lot of those guys that were 3s and 4s that we could just say, hey, we're going to have rookie ball and have a freshman practice, you wouldn't want to risk that, because those are guys now that would have to be in the 2 deep and in the bowl. But the extra practices is a huge benefit. across the board, and especially where we are defensively, that I think we've really made some strides on defense here in the last month. We're getting lined up better. I mean, the way we defended Pitt's run attack, you know, we wore down. And that's really a challenge for us, is when the snap count gets into the 70s and the 80s, we're in trouble. And it was a twofold problem. Number one, in the second half, our offense couldn't stay on the field. The first half, we had the one play interception, but other than that, we always made a first down and had a 10-play, 7-play, 6-play drive, and at least moved the sticks and rested our defense. In the second half on offense, we had 4 3-and-outs. So when you combine the offense not staying on the field with the defense allowing Pitt to convert 11 of 18 third downs, we played too many snaps, and you see what happened to us in the fourth quarter. We were worn out. At that point, we don't have the depth to get into an 80, an 85th, and 90th snap. But that's a twofold problem. We didn't stay on the field on offense, and on defense, we were terrible on third down. We were really good in first and second down, and we were awful on third down. Did not get off the field. And because of that, Pitt's drives got extended. The time of possession ended up, I think, 2-1. And it's not because we played fast on offense. You know, that's a little bit of the risk of not playing fast, is that when you don't move, you know, you're better off playing fast and getting first downs and moving the ball and changing field position. You know, if you slow it down and now you're not as successful on offense, it doesn't help your defense. And we're still trying to find that balance.
How close was the decision to kick field goals on those 4th and 1s?
I probably second guessed my decision on the first one more than the second. You know, the first one, when the ball was initially spotted, it looked like more than a yard. And against Pitt, I wanted to grab the lead. If you look at the last few games with Pitt, they've just jumped out ahead of people and rolled. And I didn't want to come away without points. And just because you make a first down there doesn't mean you're going to make a touchdown. You're still going to be 1st and 10 on the 15 or the 14. You know, the last one, we had the ball on the 1-yard line, and we ran our best play, and we lost yardage. That ball was not on the 1. It was outside the 2. It was 2.5 yards. And we had just run our best play in that situation, and Pitt blew it up. I mean, we didn't block it well. They got penetration, and I wanted to make it a 1-score game. At that point, if we don't score on 4th and 2 or 4th and 2.5, the game is probably over. So we made it a 1-score game. I thought that put pressure on Pitt's offense. And, you know, we didn't get off the field. We gave up a touchdown. So looking back at it, you know, the first one, I was probably more on the edge of going for that one than the second one. But I just thought in the Pitt game it was really important that we get a lead early and not let them get ahead. And then on the second one, you're down 10, and you had the ball in the 1, and we lost a yard and a half on the Cade Carney play. If the ball had been on the 1-yard line, we would have gone for the touchdown without hesitation.
Both Matt Coburn and Greg Dortch are on the depth chart, open and expecting that they'll get to play Saturday.
I would say that would be accurate. We are hopefully expecting them to play. So we'll see. We'll see. That I can't tell you they're going to play, and I can't tell you they're not going to play. It's Tuesday at noon. We have 4 more days before we play. Exactly 4 days and 7 minutes. And Greg has always been a fast healer, and he is ahead of where we thought he would be. And Matt will kind of have, we'll get a better feeling for it tomorrow.
Ankles for both, right?
Yeah, and it's not, they're not going to need surgery, and it's just a matter of, you know, can they go full speed and protect themselves? So right now I'm optimistic, but the next 24, 48 hours are going to be really important for both of them.
If you knew, would you tell them?
Yeah, if I knew they were going to play, I'd tell you. I mean, I want Duke to think they've got to get ready for them. But you know, Matt didn't play last week, and Greg didn't finish the game. So, you know, I'd love to know if Humphreys is playing. You know, he makes a big difference to their defense, and I'm sure if I called David Cutcliffe right now, he probably wouldn't tell me. So, that's, you know, so much for the ACC injury chart, right? Boy, that was really effective.
How are you spending your Thanksgiving?
I am going to spend my Thanksgiving by getting up in the morning, having breakfast with the football team. We will have a special teams meeting. We will have a practice. And then what we do is we have a Thanksgiving dinner with our whole team and all their families that are here. So we include everybody that's in town. And then afterwards, I'll probably hang out with my daughter Courtney and my son Eric and lay on the couch and probably pass out for about 2 hours. And then
just what turkey usually does to you? It makes you pass out for a couple hours?
At this time of the year, Les, any time that I have a half hour of downtime, I'm out. I mean, it's, you know, the football season is it's long and it's exhausting, and I think it's a marathon. And I think the players and coaches, we're all excited and energized by the opportunity, but we're all tired. And so Thanksgiving, we try to do things early and let guys get off their feet and take a nap and get some energy, and then we'll let them sleep in a little bit on Friday and head to Durham and hopefully have a great Saturday and make it a memorable finish to the regular season.
After that 2-hour nap, is it football again? Or
yes.
Thursday night could be movie night.
No, I mean, at this time of the year with what's at stake, and it's just the nature of what we do. And at times, I think as coaches, a lot of times that we're very hypocritical because we talk about family probably more than any other profession. And then during the season, even when we're with our own, you know, our mind, you know, you just, if I get a free half hour, I'm on that iPad, or I'm looking at something recruiting-wise, or watching recruiting film, and you know, usually in the off season, once the season's over, hopefully after a bowl, you get a little bit of downtime and you can relax and enjoy it, and then recruiting gets going. But it's one of those jobs. It's hard to ever completely turn it off. And but the neat thing about the job is it is something your family can share with. I mean, Courtney's here today, and she's with me at practice in the summers, and she goes on an away trip with me every year. And there's no mystery with what I do. I mean, our kids are part of the job. They're part of recruiting. They're part of the team. And so I think there are some benefits to it that you can involve your family in your job. I mean, Courtney knows almost every single player on the team because they've all been over to my house at some point and had brunch during recruiting or dinner, and until she went away from school, she got to know them and meet them all, and she's got friendships with them. So it's a neat part of the job too. All right, happy Thanksgiving.